Welcome to this training of the Dialog Intelligence of Anywhere365. In front of you right now you'll see the home page for the reports. From here you can set up your default parameters and navigate to the other reports. Let's start with the parameters. On top you can select which language you like to use. It uses your browser language to discover a default language. You can use the UCC parameter to select your contact center. For now, let's select our main UCC. You can select a time range, including a start time and an end time, or you can select a time range from the menu. Select this year, this month, this week, or this day. Next up, we have some filters regarding dialog, types, and modalities. These will be explained in the next report. And lastly, you can select if you want to see all information within the contact center's business hours or outside the contact center business hours. If you're happy with your selection, click View Report to generate the report. In the report itself, we have two visuals just to give you a clear input on what kind of data is available. You can quickly navigate to the manual or to this demonstration. Below we have the navigation of different reports. Let's start with a quick summary. The agent report shows the information from an agent level, and here you can see how your agents are performing in the contact center. The contact report shows information of returning customers, and here you can see how many times a customer called and what the end result was. In the skill report you can see all the individual skills of your contact center. In the UCC report you can see the overall UCC performance, just to get a clear overview of what's happening in your contact center. The Transferee Report can be used to see where your dialogues are being transferred to. The summary report is a summary of the first 4 reports. This comes in handy if you want to have one report with all the data directly in one PDF Excel, for example with an automatic subscription. The location report uses the customer's phone number to pinpoint them on a map. This could be a world map or certain specific countries. In the IVR report you can see which route the customer took in the interactive voice response. The status overview shows you detailed information about the status in Skype for Business or Microsoft Teams of your agents. The Heatmap report is a visual where you can clearly see where are the busy moments in my contact center. The Dialog Overview shows you a detailed views of all individual dialogues, also giving you the option to zoom in to see even more details. The Agent Scorecard is a personalized scorecard per agent, and here you can see the performance of your agent. In the dialog routing, you can see which routing dialog the customer took, from which UCC to which skill, which escape, are they picked up, and were they transferred. If you're using call classifications, you can also use the classification report. And here you can see per user or per contact center which classifications were given. The Future Intelligence is a collection of different graphs you can use to see more information about your contact center. The Quality Monitoring Report is a report where you can see which feedback the customer gave you during the quality monitoring. Let's start by opening the UCC report. The first thing you see is an overview table. In here you can see the handle rate, which is accepted dialogue divided by accepted and missed dialogue. You can see the amount of conversations. These are subdivided in different categories. These can be accepted. In this scenario, the agent accepted the call. With forwarded, the contact center forwarded the call to another destination, for example another contact center or an external phone number. With missed, the customer waited in the queue for longer than default 5 seconds and then disconnected. The counterpart of quick drops, the customer waited for shorter than 5 seconds in the queue and then disconnected. With no skills, the customer didn't enter the queue. This can happen, for example, if they disconnect during the welcome announcement, didn't make a choice in the menu, or they called outside business hours and there was no escape configured. A follow-up of the accepted is transferred. In this case, an agent successfully transferred the call to another colleague. Next up we have the SLA. And here you can see that the call was picked up in 20 seconds, 2 minutes, or more than 2 minutes. This will result in an SLA percentage, which is accepted within 20 seconds, divided by accepted and missed. You can change your formulas using parameters. If we expand the parameters here on top, we can increase the quick drop to 20 seconds and change the SLA to 30 seconds. If we generate a report, you'll see that our calculations has been altered. Next up are the different times we have available. We have the average queue time. It's the number of seconds the customer waited in the queue. The queue time starts counting after the customer makes a choice in the menu. We have the initial talk time, which this is the talk time the customer talked to the first initial agent, not counting transfers. We also have average talk time. This value does include the transfers. Then we have discharge duration. This is the number of seconds the agent was assigned after the call to report their dialogue. Lastly, we have the total time. This is the number of seconds a customer was connected with the contact center. This includes the time in the menu, the queue, and the talk time. Most of the numbers in the reports are clickable. If you want to see more details about your missed or your no skills, just click on the value and this will drill you down to a new report. Below we have some visuals which can help you, giving you more insight in the reports. You can see the ratio between accepted, missed and forwarded. You can see the reason why the customer disconnected. This can be a queue drop, where the customer was waiting while there were still people in front of the queue. A quick drop, where the customer waited for less than 5 seconds in the queue. A no agent, which means there were no agents to call. Or a missed hunt, and with this case we tried to reach an agent, but the agent didn't accept. If you scroll down, you can see a new table where you can see the information per hour, and you can expand the hours to see it per quarter of an hour. The columns are the same in the earlier described table. Besides the initial columns, you also have 2 new values, which is available agents, the number of agents who are available on average per hunt, and what's the max sized queue on that time. Below we can see the information visually, so you can see on which hours is the most busiest of the day. Some reports have multiple pages. You can switch to the next page by clicking on the next page button. In this table you can see the information per year, month, week. You can expand the weeks to see it per days. You can expand the days to hours and hours to quarter of an hour. In the visual you can see the information per day of the week. And here you can see which is your busiest day. Let's go back to the first page. As mentioned, you can zoom in by clicking on the numbers. Let's do that one now. In the Dialog Overview, you can see individual call information per row. For training purposes, we anonymize the data. Per data, you can zoom in one more time, which we'll do next. You can see which direction the dialogue went, if it was inbound, outbound, a call, a chat, or an email. You can see the reason, if it was accepted, missed, quick drops, or forwarded. You can see the daytime it happened, when the time was started, entered the queue, accepted by an agent, was transferred to a colleague, and when the call was ended. You can also see for how many seconds the agent puts the customer on hold and the discharge duration the agent used for this call. You can see which skill was chosen by the customer, if a call was escaped to a different skill, who was the first agent to pick up, who was the contact to call, to whom the call was transferred to, how many agents were available in the hunt, what was the highest reached queue position of the customer, which contact center the customer called, on which endpoint we received the call, and which was the phone number the customer dialed. As mentioned, you can zoom in to see more details, and this gives you the timeline. In the timeline, you can see all the details of the UCC. Let's go over this timeline now. You can see the calls received on this endpoint. You can see which was the phone number. It was a UCC call. It entered the IVR. A skill was chosen. Customer entered the queue with queue position 0, so there was nobody else. We started hunting one of our agents. The hunt failed. We tried another agent. That one failed again. Then we tried for the 3rd time, and that agent did pick up. Then the transfer was initiated. The transfer was accepted. And then the customer was the first person to disconnect. All events like supervisor joining, putting the customer on hold, doing a transfer successful or failed, or adding a trainee will all be documented in this report, giving you complete details of your dialogue. Let's go back to the home menu. The information we just saw were all from a customer perspective. How long did the customer wait in the queue? Was the call accepted or not? But as a manager, you also want to see information on agent level. In this case, we're going to open the agent report. Instead of counting individual dialogues, we're counting hunts. One dialogue can contain multiple hunts. In the last timeline you saw that we tried 2 agents and those failed. We tried another agent and no one was successful. If you watch the same information in the UCC report, you will have 1 accepted call. If you watch the information in this agent report, you'll have 2 missed hunts and 1 accepted hunt. In here you can see per agent how many calls were accepted, how many hunts were missed, how many quick drop hunts, these were hunts less than 5 seconds, what's the average response time SLA for the agent, what's the average response time or hunt time before they pick up the call, how long they talked with the customer, which discharge they used, how long they put the customer on hold, how many times they transferred a call to a colleague, including the transfer rate, And you can also see the accept hunt ratio. You can expand the item to see information per skill, but if you want to see different information, you can also change the parameters to also switch to on which endpoint they received, which contact, to where they transferred to, on which date it happened, on which hour, or hour and quarter of an hour. If you want to see more information about the hunt, you can just click on the value. This will bring you to the hunting overview. In here you can see what the result was of the initial hunt and what the end result was. In this case, the call was forwarded to an external phone number. In this scenario over here, the initial hunt was missed, but it was picked up by someone else. If you want to see more information, again, you can zoom in by clicking on the magnifying glass. Let's go back to the previous report. If you want to know more details about an agent, you can just click on the agent subquery to see more information. In here, you can see the amount of calls the agent did, the presence of the last 7 days. This is reflecting their Skype or Microsoft Teams presence. You can see if an agent was available with green, yellow away, red busy, dark red do not disturb, and blue for in a call. You can also see which skills the agent handled at the bottom. You can expand the bottom to see per caller, and these numbers again are clickable for more information. Let's go back to the main menu. Another useful report is the status overview. In the status overview, you can see presence information of agents. So you can see that most of the agents were available, mostly regarding informal agents, and their presences throughout the week. You can also see on individual level how many percentage of their time they were available, busy, or do not disturb, or any other presence. If you're using the Anywhere reason codes, these will automatically populate the table. If you want to see more with one agent, you can expand the information to see it on a daily level. What time did they start and at what time did they end? If you really want to see details, you can zoom in one more time to see each individual presence change, including on which device they worked from. Another useful report is the Dialog Overview. We already saw this report, but with the parameters, it can also be used to filter information. For example, you want to filter on an agent name, customer's phone number, or supervisor. For example, you want to see all phone numbers entering on 9-3. You can use percentage to filter the information in front of it and force it to end on 9-3. With the percentage value, you can either say the first part can be random, or if you put it on the end, it needs to start with 9-3, or if you put it around it, it needs to contain 9-3. Besides filtering on contact, you can also filter on if the dialog needs to contain a recording, screen recording, or voicemail. You can also search on classifications. You can also filter if the call was escaped or not, inside business hours or outside, or if the call contains a certain quality monitoring value. We're going to wrap up this session with one last report, which is the Future Intelligence. The Future Intelligence contains a set of different graphs which can help you see more information about your UCC. For example, you can see the ratio between skills per week, or the ratio between accepted, missed, or forwarded, what the SLA and handle rate is throughout the weeks. The ratio is between SLAs, within 20 seconds, 2 minutes, or longer than 2 minutes. You can see the information per half an hour. You can see if the call was within business hours or outside business hours. On the second page, you can see the average values. Because this report contains 4 weeks, it will be the average of every Tuesday between 8 and 8:30 for these 4 weeks. This information can be used for input for your Erlang C formula. You can also see the available agents throughout the weeks. They were available, do not disturb, or in calls. More information can be found on the last page, and here you can see per week which agents were available. This concludes the online demonstration of the Anywhere365 Dialog Intelligence reports. For more information about all the reports and all the calculations, please see the Go Live. Thank you for watching.